Hey everyone, Rheyo here, and welcome back to my channel. Today, Jagex released the drop rates for Zamorak, Lord of Chaos, and so I just wanted to do a video going over the news post to just kind of give you something to listen to and just kind of explain it in case it's a little bit confusing. Essentially, the way that this boss works is it has an enrage thing, but it's not like giving you enrage. It's not giving you increased drops from going like every percentage of enrage. It's divided into tiers all the way up to 15 tiers. So you can see all the tiers and stuff on the homepage. So I'm not going to go too into it, but I'm going to stick with like the 50 to 99% enraged tier, which is tier 3, because that's what a lot of people do. That's what I farm a lot. That's what a majority of people farm a lot if they're like doing solos or groups or whatever, just to increase their chances at uniques per hour. Now, when it comes to getting common loot, you get loot points. Every tier has a varying amount of loot points, and at 50 to 99%, you get 22 loot points. The way that this works when you run the full dungeon, because Jagex mentioned that running the full dungeon will give you an increase to the amount of loot that you get, it'll increase your loot points by 75%. If you're confused on what loot points are, I'll get to those in just a moment, but essentially the more that you have, the more loot that you get. So in this example, Jagex uses the 300% Elite Dungeon Enrage tier, which will give you 50 loot points for completing Zamorak. Now, if you run the full dungeon beforehand, it increases it by 75% loot points, which will make the total 87. That is a lot of loot points for a single encounter, but when you consider how long it takes you to actually run the dungeon, especially at 300% enrage, if you're going for uniques, this is not worth it. There are other benefits to running the dungeon for like higher chances at getting like the slivers of power for the enchantments and stuff. If you're going for uniques like a majority of people will be going for, it's just not worth it. If you can just skip to Zammy, just do Zammy. Now, how do loot points actually affect your commons? So see this kind of like a general store. The currency would be the loot points that you get from the boss fight, and each drop type, like alkables, blood runes, bladed salvage, or calcum salvage, bolt tips, all that stuff, they each cost a different amount of loot points, and the game spends these points for you at the end of each kill. So it'll give you 22 loot points, and then it'll spend them in the shop, essentially. It'll just give you random assortments totaling up to the amount of loot points. So alkables cost 5 loot points, essentially. If I get 22 for doing a 50% enraged kill, I could potentially get 4 drops on the alkables loot table, and then I could get 2 drops on the Seas loot table, or 2 drops on the Dark Animica Stone Spirit table. Or I could get 22 drops on the Dark Animica Stone Spirit table, which would be big pain. But that's essentially how that works. You can preview all the drops on the news post, and you can see how many loot points they cost. But to kind of give a perspective, a lot of my average kills have been about 2.5 to 3 mil total loot, maybe 3.5, because there's a lot of 4 mil plus kills that I do get. But that is essentially how that works, and that is at 50% enrage. Now, when it comes to the rare chances, this is what a lot of us are probably interested in. The base chance starting at 0% enrage is 1 in 100 to land on the unique table. If you have a tier 4 luck, it'll bring that to 1 in 99, and then enrage will bring down this number even more. So the enrage affects the chance to land on the table, and then when you land on the table, it will also affect the chance of that drop being a bow piece or a Codex of Lost Knowledge, but it will not affect the vestments or the Chaos or Ability Codex. The percentage for the bow piece at base at 0% at 1 in 100 chance to land on the table is 12.5. Each vestment piece is 9%, Chaos Ore is 16.5, and the Lost Knowledge Codex is 35. So that is the base, and then it just increases from there essentially. Now, the way that the bow chance and the Codex of Lost Knowledge works as you go up in enrage is the bow chance will go up, but the Lost Knowledge Codex chance will go down. So essentially, you're increasing your chance of a bow piece and decreasing your chance at getting a Codex of Lost Knowledge, which has a pretty high chance to get. At 0%, it's all the base values. At 20% to 49%, it doesn't affect the bow or the Codex of Lost Knowledge chance, but it affects the unique drop chance by 1. So it goes from 1 in 100 to 1 in 99. At 50 to 99, it goes to 1 in 97. And then when you hit 100, it'll increase your unique drop chance to 1 in 80, but your bow and your Codex of Lost Knowledge chance will start to shift. So essentially, I haven't done anything past 100%, but from what I'm getting from this graph, every single time a new mechanic is added, the chance for bow pieces goes up and the Codex of Lost Knowledge goes down. 0 to 99%, the chance for the bow is 12.5, the chance for the Codex is 35. When you hit 100 all the way up to 499, the chance for the bow is 15%, Lost Knowledge is 32.5, And then each tier after that has different values and such. So you can just preview all those values on the homepage. But essentially, to break this down, the higher you're in Rage, each tier will increase your chance of getting a unique, just landing on the table. But then every new mechanic in those enraged tiers will increase your bow chance and will decrease your Codex of Lost Knowledge chance. Just kind of being redundant there. I'm going to move on to the next section. And when it comes to completing a dungeon run, this will take the denominator to 0.75. So it essentially will decrease the denominator by 25%. And what that means, if we're to take the 0% chance denominator of 1 in 100, if you were to run a full 0% enraged dungeon and then do the Zamorak boss fight, instead of getting a 1 in 100 chance for a unique, it would take it down to 1 in 75. So you have to still consider, if you're going for uniques, it's going to be better to just farm Zamorak. It's not going to be better to run the dungeon, because the amount of time it takes to run the dungeon equates to anywhere between 3 and 5 Zammy kills, depending on how fast that you are. But like I said before, there are other benefits to running the dungeon. It is just not uniques. So when it comes to bad luck mitigation, the way that this works is, say you get a unique, your first 10 kills after that are unaffected by the bad luck mitigation. But starting after that 10th kill, on your 11th kill, the mitigation is going to kick in. And the way that that works is it will decrease that denominator. So the 1 in 100 chance, it'll take that denominator down by 1. So if you do 10 kills without a drop, and then you do an 11th kill at 0% in rage, it'll take it down to 1 in 99% chance. And then your next kill will be 1 in 98, then 1 in 97, and so on and so forth. And it'll just keep going all the way down to 1 in 20, which is pretty darn good, I must say. The base chances for landing on the unique table are already pretty decent, but with the bad luck mitigation, this makes it so much better. Like, it makes it a lot more common than this 1 in 100 or 1 in 97. Like, me personally, my drops have been lower than like 1 in 50, because I don't even have 200 KC yet, and I have 4 drops in, let's see, 186 KC. I have landed 2 Chaos Roar and 2 Vestments. So that is pretty darn good. And within those drop chances, you know, I've had 4 chances at landing a bow piece. Prices of bow pieces, I don't think it's going to be as high as people were thinking that they were before. But we'll just kind of have to see how that plays out. But I can tell you, in short, that if you've been following my range series, you know that one of my bigger upgrades, or my final upgrade, or my biggest upgrade, is going to be the Bow of the Last Guardian. This definitely encourages me to farm it out as much as possible. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to make this video to kind of go over the drop rates, just go over how the Zamorak drop rates work, and just explain it for those who maybe didn't fully understand it or just wanted to hear it. So if you like this, make sure to subscribe, like the video, drop a comment down below if you need any more clarification, or correct me on anything that I may have been wrong about. Anyways, I'm Rheyo, and I'll see you next time. Take care.